Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Fast Leadership Podcast with Arnaud and Gordon, where we look to take the rocket science out of leadership and make it accessible to everybody.
Hi, Gordon. How are you this morning?
Hi, Arnaud. I'm fantastic.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here discussing with you about leadership and the FAST method. First, I feel like we should introduce ourselves a little bit, so I'll let you go first. What's your expertise and what are your interests and why are we here?
So I'm a 35-year IT professional with a background in driving transformation and turning around failing projects. And over the last 10 years, what I've done is I've looked to move into the leadership space and to share the things that I've learned in order to help people achieve more success more rapidly, hence FAST.
Wow. So that's the program for today. And our postcat will get people to get in a position to be a great leader, fast and easy, right? Is it easy though?
So what I would say is we mustn't confuse simple with easy. I have a simple plan because you always need one. If I ever have to fight Mike Tyson, I have a very simple plan. When the bell rings, I run across the ring and I knock him out with one blow. That is a simple plan.
That is the plan. Does it always work? I'm not sure about that.
But it's not easy. So a lot of it is about simplifying things so we can understand what we need to do. But we still got, success requires hard work. But what we mustn't do is make it more complicated by making it complex. When it's difficult to understand, it's really, really difficult to do. When it's simple to understand, we make it a lot easier for ourselves, but not necessarily easy. You still got to put in the hard work.
Yeah. So, I'm a young entrepreneur. I started 2-3 years ago to my own business, as a science division person. So I'm very interested because I'm getting in the situation to hire people and get my own teams and, starting again to be a leader. But in a way, even if you work for yourself, you're still a leader to your own, business and your own person. In a way, it's not like dissociative between yourself and yourself, but you're still a leader in a way.
Yeah. So we have to understand what leadership is. And leadership, it's about setting the tone for the organization, being the role model and the example of how you want other people to operate. So even if you're a solopreneur, you want to be setting that example for how you want your customers to react, how you want your suppliers to react, how any partners or subcontractors. So in that sense, even in a single company, you can be a solopreneur. And I always remember I was doing a speaking gig in Lithuania and I sent the contract, and within 2 days, the company had paid me in advance for the talk.
Right.
Now, how quickly do you think I responded to any query they had?
So I don't know. When I have a date, I wait for 3 days, but it's not the same situation, right?
No, but because they paid me within 2 days, if they said, can we have this, I responded immediately. If they'd have taken 3 weeks, a month to pay me, and I'd have had to be saying, hey, can you send me the payment? When they then email me and say, hey, we need this from you, my response would have been, yeah, right. You can wait where you made me wait. So, with them setting the tone for our relationship, prompt response, that then triggered me to be a prompt responder. So, in that way, when we've got suppliers, we can't dictate how they will act and operate, but we can try and influence it. And leadership, it's all about influence. So, even in a solopreneur company, leadership is important.
Yeah. And I'm sure our advice, your advice and the FAST method will also apply if you're listening to this podcast and you're a stay-at-home person. A mom or dad is a leader or political leader or whatever kind of leader. I'm sure will find a good advice and a good method here to better lead and maybe to lead with less brain
Friction.
tiring Yeah,
Friction.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So again, another thing, another confusing thing about leadership is that it's not just in the professional environment. And parenting is an absolutely classic
yeah. Sport
example.
coach, right?
Sorry.
Sports coach are
Yeah,
also great leaders.
yeah, absolutely, because they have to inspire and motivate people. But parenting is an
Yeah,
absolutely classic leadership because I have three children, and when the children are very small, very young, you tell them what to do, and they tend to do it. You are very much more directing and commanding, but you get to that point where your children no longer take orders from you, and you have to go from managing them to
to
leading them,
leading. And
inspiring.
that's so different, right?
Yeah, and a lot of parents who insist on trying to manage their
Hmm.
children, that's where the rebellion comes from. People don't want to be managed. They want to be led and inspired. So, usually I don't know what the exact age is, it probably changes, but I would probably say somewhere between the age of 7 and 14, you've got to get out of that managing and into that
Yeah.
inspiring leading so you can have a positive influence. If you just manage, your kids will rebel and they'll become inspired somewhere else. So, as parents, we have to be leaders as well.
Right. And if you manage your employees, they could leave, right? And if you lead them and inspire them, maybe we will talk about that, the diminution of the change that they will leave.
Yeah, you can manage people, but you will never, ever, ever get the best out of them. It's inspiring people and leading them that gets the
Yeah.
best out of them. And people want to be led rather than managed. Because for me, leadership, it's a lot about setting the direction, giving the tools, and then setting people up for success, and then leaving them to be successful. Don't micromanage them, and then give them support if requested, or that positive recognition when they do a good job. And that's what people want. Set me up for success, leave me alone, celebrate and recognize me when I do a good job. And if you do that, you will transform your teams and your results and outcomes.
Okay, I will talk a bit about myself because I've been hired as a creative person. I have a science background. I have a PhD in astrophysics, so I was hired to do
Sorry,
research and
you're a
development.
rocket scientist. Let's just.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
am.
you are a rocket scientist.
But well, this is not rocket science,
It's
right?
not rocket.
This is
But
good. It's gonna be easy.
we're gonna demystify the perceived rocket science of leadership.
Right. Right, true. But I was hired to be, very creative, and in research development, you need some freedom to make research, right? And my manager would micromanage every 15 minutes of my time. That was horrible, and I quit after 2 weeks that company because it was just an horrible, terrible experience for me. So I thought, why don't you hire a robot? You tell them what to do and you follow the process. And that's not what I want to do. I don't want to be a robot. I want to be free. I want to express what I have to express. I want to bring ideas to the table, and I want to be valued for that. So I could make mistakes, of course, and I would accept that. But don't micromanage me, please. Or hire a robot.
Yeah, well, the thing is that micromanagement is not something that anybody wants. So it's always strange to me how many people do it because they themselves don't want to be micromanaged, and it's not a good look. If I see somebody micromanaging you, and I work for them, I know that at some point they're going to micromanage me, and I'm going to be looking for a new opportunity. So it's not good for the manager because it undermines their credibility as a leader. It's not good for the employees, and it's not good for the company because people end up leading. So big no to my
a big no on that.
big no.
Yeah.
No.
So we will talk about. I like what you said, to get the best out of people and put them in the best position for them and the best way to get the best results, right? That's what it is about. But it is rather vague at this point, and I feel like we need to dig deep
So
into what's the best.
Let me just make a point here, because we talked earlier about you're a rocket science, and we want to demystify the perceived rocket science that is leadership. But fundamentally, this is what leadership is. It's about putting your teams in a position where they can be successful. Because as a leader, you're accountable for success. And the number one thing you want to do is put your team in a position where they can be successful. And that's me demystifying leadership to the absolute basic fundamental. That's all leadership is. Putting your team in a position where they can be successful. And one of the things I always say is people are not afraid of hard work, they're afraid of failure. So when you put them in a position where
that's very profound. Let's repeat it. Yeah. So people are not afraid of hard work, they are afraid of failure. Correct. So they can put the hard work, right?
Yeah.
They're not afraid to work. They're not lazy. They're not tired, they're afraid to work and fail.
Let me ask you a question. There's a job that, well, you've got two jobs. There's one that has a good reward, but you're not sure how to do it, and you think the probability is you're going to fail. And then there's a second job, a second task that you absolutely know you can do, and the reward's not as great, but the probability of you achieving it is higher. Which of those tasks are you going to go do?
Well, obviously, I like to think I'm a risk taker, but I would go for the job I know how to start, at least.
Everybody.
If I have no clue to how to start the other job, I'll just dream about it.
Yeah.
But or think it's going to be future me that will be able to do it, but I won't dive in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, I'm the same. If I've got a job and I know that no matter how hard I work, I'm not going to be successful, or I could just not do it and sit and drink margaritas all day, get the tequila out. Why would I push myself in something that I already know is going to fail? I'm not going to do it. I'm just gonna go through the actions because obviously I want pain, so I'm going to look like I'm trying, but I know it doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to fail. So you're not getting the best out of people. So if we can show them as leaders how to be successful, in my experience, 99.9% of the people will take that opportunity. Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Okay, what's that? Maslow's
hierarchy of needs. It's about the things that we want in life, that are basic fundamental needs, the need for shelter, safety, security, food. And once we've got those basic needs covered, then it's about a feeling of belonging, respect, fulfillment, and achievement. So all of us have that need to feel that we've achieved something. So if we put people in a position where they can be successful, boom, now they're going to go do it.
There's so many aspects of that, and I want to dive deeper into all of those. One is sometimes as a leader or as a team player, you don't have a choice. You feel like the task is too big and too large and too hard, and to you don't have the resources, you don't know how to do it, but you got to do it, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you're firefighters and you're fighting a huge fire, you don't know how to do it because it's just too large, but you have to do it. You have to save lives. As a leader, what can you do to bring back that confidence that we'll achieve this big, huge task?
So I think those are slightly different things. Where you're working as maybe as a doctor or a firefighter, where you're looking at saving lives.
Yeah.
You're going to be inspired to go and do that, and you're going to try and do the absolute best you can, even if you don't think you're going to be successful. And those are situations where you can't negotiate that, oh, excuse me, could you find a smaller building with fewer people in that's on fire? That doesn't work. It's the fire that's in front of you that you have to fix. But in business, when we're setting up goals and targets for our teams, we need to be looking at, yes, let's stretch people a little bit, but we've got to set goals that we know they can be achieved. Even if it's with a little bit of luck, a little bit of hard work, we can set ambitious goals. If we set impossible goals, people become frustrated, demotivated, they disengage and they leave. So I think those are two different things. Firefighting and medical, you have no choice but to try and put the fire out and save lives. But in a business context, we can always look at modifying our goals. Now, it could be that in order to be successful in the business, we have to, find a way to sell our products at 50% lower because that's the only way we can compete. But, that it's not usually the case. I mean, I'm working on a project now where the business would love to do the project in a year. It's just not possible. And as a leader, I had to push back and say, hey, look, this is what's possible. This is what we can do. That's impossible. Do you want us to aim for the impossible, spend your money and fail, or do you want us to achieve the possible? And I think that is a role of a leader, that if you and your team fundamentally believe the task is impossible, you've got to have the courage to go and say, hey, look, this can't be done. And
so you get to find a balance between your ambition and what's possible, right?
So I know we were going to talk about entrepreneurs, and I think we've hit on a slightly different topic, which I think we can run with. But here's a question for you. On projects so there was research done on projects that failed. What percentage of the time did the people know day one that project was going to fail? So on projects that failed, what percentage of the time did people know day one it's going to fail?
In my experience, I would go for a lot, like almost all of them.
It's actually, I think this was researched by IBM. It was 75%. On projects
75%. Wow.
On projects that failed, 75% of the time, people knew day one that project was going to fail. Now, let's be honest about this. They might have been incorrect. But if you go in with that mindset of this is going to fail, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because what happens when you see things start to go wrong, you look to your buddies and go, told you. And you now become a spectator on a failure that you've predicted. Whereas if you think it's going to be successful and it starts to go wrong, you'll be like, oh my God, we need to go in and do something. And now you'll step into solution mode. And this is why it's important for us to have that belief, because if people feel it's going to go wrong, they step into spectator mode. If they feel it's going to be successful, they'll go into solution mode. And
I love that. Putting the right mindset. It's not about influencing.
Solution mode is a lot more likely to succeed than spectator mode. So and I think this is one of the things that leaders can do. When we start a project, we should ask our teams, do you think it's going to be successful? And if they say no, it gives us an opportunity to understand their concerns, and it could be understanding, and we might be able to say, no, look, listen, you don't quite understand it. We're going to do this, 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 and this. And if we do that, this, and then they'll go, okay, we believe you, and now they think it's going to be successful and they'll be in solution mode, or they will convince you that actually, we can't have a baby in 6 months.
Right.
It takes 9 months. And then at which point we have to renegotiate what it is we're going to do, because projects don't fail at the end. The end is when we see the failure. 75% of projects that fail, they were failing day one.
Day one. Yeah.
They were set up to fail. And, and that's why we come back to people are not afraid of hard work. They're afraid of failure. And if they feel it's going to fail, spectator mode, failure. So it's all about that mindset. And as leaders, we have to set them up for success, show them how success can be achieved, show them they have the skill set and the capability to do it. And as soon as they believe that, boom, now they're gonna be in solution mode, and people will achieve amazing results.
Mm-hmm. It makes so much sense. You hire people you trust, you hire a team, or you work with the team. You want the best experts in your team, and then you get to put them in the right position to be confident about the project and move forward with the project, and trust them and trust their process, trust their criticism sometimes. Yeah, it makes so much sense to me. I'm thinking people are starting to finish their run or driving or everything. We should keep some for another episode of Fast Leadership with Arnaud and Gordon podcast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll come back. We'll come back because, one of the things we were going to talk about today, and we'll cover in the next one, is that when you look at the percentage of failures, the numbers are astronomical. And we'll share those next time and some of the things that we can look to do to fix them.
Sure. So please don't hesitate, if you like this podcast, to comment and share on all of your social medias, everywhere, at Starbucks, whatever. Talk about us and let this method be known. Let the leaders be better with our method and our podcast.
Yeah.
And let you be inspired by this. I hope that you will find some clues and advice to be a better leader and be more happy in your leader position.
Yep. Keep it fast.
Gordon, talk to you soon. Yeah, keep it fast, right? Gordon, we'll talk soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.